joining us today on Coastal and Progressive Rainbow Forum on Society Bites Radio. Today, and this is your host, Steve Ryan, and we will be speaking with the Reverend Charles Williams. And he is going to be the candidate here for the Supervisor of Elections in Manatee County. And welcome, Reverend Williams. It's so glad to have you today.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
Okay. You have got a very interesting background here, and a lot of hard work you put in. And I understand you are the minister at two different churches, correct?
Well, I'm a minister at one church now. I was the pastor at one church, but we merged in with St. Mary Missionary Baptist Church in Florida. So now I'm actually the assistant.
Okay, got it. Okay. Reverend Williams, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from and things like this, and what led you to decide to run for the Supervisor of Elections here in Manatee County? Because we want to do everything we can to support you and help you here.
I appreciate it, too. Let me start by saying I'm Reverend Charles Williams, Jr. I was born and raised here. I'm an original Floridian. I went to school here, and locally I went Manatee High School from the class of 1981. After I left Manatee High School, I went to MCC for about a year. I didn't graduate there, but later on down the line, I ended up getting a calling on my life from the Lord Jesus Christ, and I ended up going to college over in Brandon, where it was Emmaus Baptist College is where I finished it. I got my AA over at Florida Baptist College, and then my associates, my bachelor's of science in theology in 2008. I do a lot of things to help our community. I did charitable work for Manatee County Citizen Financial Structure Advisory Board. I've been a board member for about 8 years on the Oasis Middle School, which is a charter school. My employment experience now, I'm working with Manatee County School Board right now as a paraprofession, and I do a lot of teacher's aid work. I'm doing that. I've actually started a church, which was the King of Kings Baptist Church, and now I'm with St. Mary Missionary Baptist Church. We merged in with them so that, we can actually help grow both churches, and it made sense. We were at a school, and it was pretty tough, but it works out now that I can help another pastor, and he can help me. We have the sufficient help that we need because I got an impeccable work ethic. I like to work, and I'm not a slacker. I get it done. I've also did a lot of volunteer work in the early 90s. Coached football for a long time. I started out with the Palmetto Eagles, which is a youth football organization, and then I moved down a year later with the Palmetto Trojans, where I spent about 6-7 years there working with them. Before I became a pastor, I was a youth pastor for a lot of young children, and did a well-rounded job. Ended up, me and my team made it accessible for those kids to have a learning program along with that, dance program, and other different things that go along with ministry. I was able to do that, and I hear from a lot of those kids. Even today, I have teachers that came out of that pack. We have a couple of professional football players that came out of that pack, and we had a whole lot of them that went to college that I had a hand in their life in some way, shape, or form. I was able to shape that life, and that's the business I am in, to encourage and shape lives. So that's just a little bit about who I am and what I bring to the table.
Excellent. It sounds like you have done a lot of work with the youth and also with young people. Young people overall, and helping to put them on a solid path forward, and that is certainly something that you should be commended for. That's very, very good. We need more people like you doing things like that to give time back to the young people. Often, because there's the other side of the coin, of course, too. A lot of parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs in order to support their families, and that goes back to part of the reason I'm sure that you're running for supervisor elections, trying to make things more fair. A lot of us are tired of the constant exploitation of the less fortunate people in this country, and that's why I'm assuming as a person you have seen the value in what you have done in the past here and so forth. And if you want to comment from there too, that'd be great. Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And like I said, when I coached football, I saw the disparity with a lot of young men. It was coming from single family homes. A lot of them didn't have a dad there, and I stepped up. And I know I can't replace it, be a dad, but I did my part. And even the coaches that coached with me, I told them, listen, man, we got a lot of these young fellas don't have a father figure, and they ain't know what it's going to take to be a man. So we're going to have to be gentle with these guys. We got to help them. And when we stop to eat, a whole bunch of them ain't going to have money. So if you're going to coach with me, you got to come out your pocket, and we're going to feed these kids. Whatever we can do to make sure that they don't go to prison and that they don't go out on the streets and start selling drugs, we're going to be that for them. And I get a lot of respect. I hear kids right now, if they see me and they play for me, they still call me coach. Some of them hug me. Some of them thank me because of the path that it was going on. Even some of them that I knew that probably would go to prison, went to prison, but they came out and told me, you had good talks with me, and I remember you. I appreciate everything you've done. That's one of the drives, but also the drive to make sure that things are done properly in that office, things are fair. We know that the 16 election, we had what they said was some, fraudulent activity going on in the office. We had some interference, but that's one of the things I want to make sure that we stop. We want to make sure that people can trust the leadership in these offices and make sure that people see that they are going to run the thing with integrity and make sure that we don't have people questioning whether there's fraud, whether people are doing things right. We want to make sure that people can trust the leadership in these offices. And me, I'm one of those people that thrive on working hard and, making sure that people can trust my leadership. And I know that they will trust my leadership over at the supervisor of election office if given the opportunity. And yes, that's a lot of things that drove me. A lot of these things that I see happening today behind the scenes ain't right and ain't fair. And yes, you're absolutely right. We sometimes don't get a fair shake or a fair opportunity. And right now, I'm kind of dealing with that. I made mention to a friend of mine that called me just yesterday asking how was I doing. And I told him I was doing okay, but I'm actually floored because I called to check on my petitions to see how many I had. I turned in almost 1,000 petitions, and a lot of petitions are not being dealt with right. I asked one of the ladies over there, won't call her name, but she told me I was needing 1,900 petitions, and I know I done turned in almost 1,000 petitions, so that was disheartening. I know that that's not fair. I know that all those petitions, ain't nothing wrong with all those petitions. One of the things I'm believing is I ran a real tight, close race with this guy in 2008. I was really close to winning that election. I didn't win, but at the same time, I don't think he really wants me on this ballot. He's going to make it really, really hard for me to get on the ballot. I hate to say that because I'm not one of those people that jump to conclusions. I'm not one of those people that judge people. I'm one of those people that encourage people because I know all of us make mistakes in life and make poor choices. But this really right here has caused me to just think twice about how people do things. I'm really a little upset about that because I know I just know with everything in my heart that all those petitions aren't bad. But I'm going to keep on driving. I'm going to keep, pushing and fighting all the way to the end. And I'm believing God will open the door somehow that maybe I'll get some donations and be able to get on the ballot that way.
Well, let's hope so. You hit the nail on the head there with one thing. Anyone in the country practically knows that Florida is famous for voter suppression. And it's been going on here for years and years. And it's again, this goes back a lot of years. And just like, where we had to fight so hard to get the proposition passed to allow some of our returning citizens to be able to vote. They've done everything possible to try to suppress the vote of these people, and it's not right. We're the only state, this is the only state in the nation that has such draconian regulations and rules trying to suppress the vote like that. There's hardly any other state that even comes close to it. But it's sad, and it's an embarrassment to the state of Florida to be looked at like that. When every election practically, everyone jokes about Florida, and it's not a joke anymore. It's disgusting. What has happened here? So, and I want to give you that point there, because you're certainly right on there too. Just like here in Manatee County, as I was one of the volunteers that went out here and had to redirect people to the right polling places when they closed the polling places before. This was in 16, I believe, too. And they manipulated a bunch of the election places around, and these were all in poor areas where, these were in less fortunate areas of the city, and it was not right. It wasn't right at all. I could tell you lots of stories there on that part, but so I'm really glad that you've stepped up here and want to help improve things, and hopefully we can get you elected as supervisor of elections. But let's go back to some other things here and talk about, do you have any particular ideas of how you might be able to improve the transparency there at the supervisor of elections office?
Well, absolutely. And just to talk to your point for a few seconds, and I'll tell you that you're absolutely right. And it is a shame, and I am actually tired of it, and that's why I need to be on the ballot, and I need to win this election so that we can kill some of the disparities, and I can make it a lot easier for people to vote, a lot easier for people to want to vote, and for those who get out of prison and come back into society, that they be able to vote. I've heard stories upon stories about how many people have been suppressed and been given the wrong dates to vote, been given the wrong polling places, and you can't vote if you go to the wrong polling place. Your name ain't gonna be on the list. I have heard some of my Spanish friends been threatened about, sending their parents back if they voted. It's just so much oppression that I want to end. And one of the things that I would do is, first and foremost, I want to end voters' fraud at all costs. And the way I would end it is I would make sure that I go through those voters' rolls to make sure we clean it up really good by making sure that we don't have deceased people on it. We don't have people who are living in two states coming back and forth and voting. I will make sure that we don't have men and women who are incarcerated and someone voted for them by mail. I want to make sure that everything is done right by the book and we are clean over there. I want to make sure that we have men and women who have integrity at that office. And if you don't have the integrity and feel like you're going to do things the right way, I will not have you over there with me. I need good people to surround me that feel the way I feel and that have the same vision I have, because I look at it this way. It was very hard for African Americans to vote. At one time, we didn't have a right to vote. But we have people who died for us to have a chance to vote. And I value this, and I want to encourage other people to vote and, just make it right for other people, because it's a lot of people just feel bad that the things are happening the way they are, and they talk about it, and some of them even come to the mindset that why I vote when my vote ain't going to count. But I want them to understand, with me over there, your vote will count. With me over there, your vote will be counted. With me over there, I will make sure that we are not doing any fraudulent things, and anybody that tries to do that will not be at that office with me. I want to make sure that my constituents will be able to trust my leadership.
Exactly. And that's what we need. We need someone in that position who respects and actually is concerned about the fact that people their vote is being suppressed here in Florida. And of course, there's all kinds of documentation. I remember down in the 2018 election here, where they had the long lines of people trying to vote, and down in Miami and stuff, because they kept closing polling places and forced all these underserved areas into the same polling place, and then